Welcome back. Welcome back to another HEF podcast. That's the podcast of the Home Education Foundation. The Home Education Foundation is the organization started by the beloved Brenda Dickinson. And as you can see on the screen, we thank Brenda for 40 years of being the voice of parents in the Capitol, protecting parents' rights, especially the right to home educate, as her and Craig and Representative Daniel Webster worked to pen the bill that became home education law in Florida in 1985. After that, she began to work with her husband to continue to secure those rights. And we're so thankful that she did. We're so thankful for all of the rights that are established in statute. And we're thankful for all the parents through the last 4 decades. That's just a mouthful. We're so thankful for all the parents over the last 4 decades who have risen to the call and the challenge to raise their own children the way that they see fit and to flex their liberty and their freedoms that have been spelled out. We thank you for standing up, and we thank you for standing with the Home Education Foundation inside the free state of Florida to protect those rights. And especially in this last August when we did our match donation for the year, we had a home education family challenge other families across the state that if we could raise $6,000, they would match it. And you guys showed up in full force, and we did hit that match campaign, and that is going to become something annual. And we look forward to still working on getting these turned into challenge coins. But that is still in progress. It might take us a little bit to get all of the pieces of that worked out, but we want to show you that we appreciate you, and we absolutely. We also appreciate our top sponsors. Thank you so much to Arete, FPEA, that's the Florida Parent Educators Association, for being a top sponsor, as well as Fisher Precious Metals and the TBHC Group. That's the Tampa Bay Homeschool Conference Group. They throw the largest conference in Tampa Bay each year for homeschoolers. We're so thankful for our top sponsors. Without them, truly without our top sponsors and the parents that donate to us, we would not be able to do the work that we're doing, or we would be doing it much slower and far less effective, because what you do with your support matters. Brenda, thank you for being with us today again. I'm always glad to have you here. How are you? Good. You seem to have a little lag here. Hold on, let me get you set up properly. Try that again. Are you good?
I said I'm doing great for an old lady. After 40 years, I wasn't a young chick when we started.
Me neither. Well, I'm glad you did. We're very thankful for that. We love to recognize you, and I feel like I can't let a podcast go by. The reason why we started it was to keep conversations about how home education has reemerged and the fights that got it there, and just the journey. What it looks like and what it means. I think it's important to keep that alive, and especially for the state of Florida, you're keystone figure in that early movement, and we're very thankful to have your involvement. Obviously, there were other people who were there. Securing home education freedoms didn't happen in a vacuum with Brenda Dickinson alone. We're aware of that, and but we want to keep the legacy of the work alive. We want people to understand the roots, and so as often as possible, I love to kind of call back to that and bring you in. There's a lot to talk about, and I think it's difficult sometimes to know what to focus on. Maybe that's the ADHD, but I think there's so many things that the news and you see on social media as now people have kind of transitioned from just traditional news sources to the overall feed of a social media platform is keeping me up to date on current events. We're just hammered at every angle with people's opinions, and with information about what happened here and what happened there, and you see an article about what's happening in homeschooling, and then you check the article and you realize, oh, that's in New Jersey or Illinois or California, or and it begs the question, if you're thinking about it, it begs the question, we're like, oh, what about our state? Are we gonna have that problem too, or what's really going on? And well, I've only got 4 years left to worry about it. Maybe I can just get my kids through and be okay. But the cycle of education keeps going, and generation after generation, as the generation that's older gets older, they have to rely on the younger generation more to carry more of the weight, to pull more of the burden, to hold things in perspective. And it's easy to lose sight of a lot of that. I'm going to try my best not to talk about a very specific organization today that's been on my radar for the last couple of years. But I want to talk a little bit about the ideologies that are there, because there are things that we need to be aware of as homeschooling families or parents, just parents in general. There are things that we need to be aware of that are moving simultaneously, that play a massive factor in what's available, what we have access to, and what we have the rights to do. That's a lot, and it's very vague. I'm going to try very hard to be specific, because I don't like it when I listen to other people speak, and I'm like, but they're so vague, that could be anything. So I'm going to try to nail in on some specifics, but without being so specific that we prop up people who don't need to be propped up. Something that's, I was listening to some of the debates about, Charlie Kirk and people talking online, all the talking heads going back and forth. And I start to realize that, yes, when you put certain voices on in order to kind of have that dialogue, you tend to amplify them. You tend to amplify them while also trying to kind of have that iron versus iron conflict. And perhaps you amplify them far beyond what they had before. Some of the pocket influencers that were online that have a little pocket reach over here, they get it exploded up when you bring them on to argue with them. So I want to be very careful and cautious, not to get the organization's name to be the name that's on people's tongues, but to get the ideological issue to be what everyone's thinking about. The core issue itself to be what's in focus. I saw an article recently, and I shared it with Crystal, and I don't remember if I shared it with you, Brenda, but it was out of the Tallahassee Democrat. No, it's not. It's out of WXTXL Tallahassee. I don't know which one that is, but it doesn't really have anything to do with homeschooling, right? It says, the article says what the quote-unquote out-of-field letter about your child's teacher really means. And so the district leaders explain why parents receive a letter. And this letter comes and tells them that the teacher is teaching outside of their field. Stay with me on this, because it's not about homeschooling, but it's about something that's really important. So it's Leon County. And it says, Leon County parents are receiving letters notifying them that their child's teacher is teaching outside their certified subject area. Teachers may be teaching a subject outside of their certified area while working towards additional credentials, so that's one reason why, often due to evolving classroom needs and staffing gaps. Okay. And despite what the letter may suggest, Leon County Schools confirms that every teacher in the classroom holds a valid teaching certification. And then you keep going. So they're like, well, why did we get this letter that's alarming parents, saying, pay attention, they're outside of their area, alert. It reminds me of the old broadcast. Maybe I'm aging myself. on television when they had the old broadcast, and it would show up. "Burp, burp." This is just a test of the national broadcasting system. If it had been an actual emergency, we would have told you. It's like, oh, okay, great. So they get this letter, and then they're told to ignore the letter, which I think is just really, really interesting. So the phrase "your child's teacher is currently teaching out of subject area" can spark alarm, as it did for some parents like Beth Crane. It did, and that would be alarming. If I got that, I would be like, whoa. Especially with everything everyone's talking about in the news and the subject matter, like I would be on high alert if I got that letter. Like, what do you mean they're talking about stuff they're not supposed to be talking about? That's what my mind would have translated it to. So then I would, you go down further, and I find some of the quotes here really interesting. Where is it? It's important for parents not to be worried that the person in front of their student is not prepared. That's quite the contrary. So we sent out this to get you on high alert, and then we're going to tell you, hey, now that you're on high alert, it's important not to be worried. Why? Because they're quite prepared. They're out of their area, but they're quite prepared to be out of their area. Don't worry about it. I struggle not to point out the absolute irony here, but we'll hold off on that. So Beth Crane says that she trusts the system, and she's proud to see teachers stepping up and meeting students' needs. And I think that's really the key issue here, is trust the system. Oh, wait, I know we sent you out a letter that says something that's alarming, but don't worry, trust the system. Right? That's the message here. Don't worry, trust the system. Don't
Can I read her exact quote of what it says right below that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You read that. Yeah.
Don't just focus on the fact that, oh, the teacher's out of subject area, because the teacher still went to college. They're still knowledgeable on teaching in general. So I guess have grace and just be happy that there are teachers.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't focus on the fact. Just be happy. Drum up your faith in the system.
And be happy that there are teachers.
And be happy there are teachers, because, man, where would we be without them? It's so good. I'm so glad they went to college. Where would we be without them? It's an odd article. Like, it's a really odd article. You have to stop and ask yourself, like, why? If it's nothing to worry about, why do we even bother? But it's just so that we can grandstand trusting the system. We can put it out in front of you and grandstand, oh, no, nothing to be alarmed about here. Just trust the system. Keep having faith in the system. It's still working for you, and, teachers know better anyway, right? That's the subtle underlying tone. At least we have teachers, and they're qualified. It's not like your kids are at home learning from you, an unqualified person. Thank goodness we have teachers. Now, they didn't say that. They didn't say it exactly. They didn't give those direct words. I am putting words in their mouths. But the sentiment is there. That sentiment exists. I've heard school districts spout those words during COVID. We're the experts. Trust us. You don't have to worry. And I see it all over the place. And I've seen it in another organization recently where they're calling alarm that we don't know what happens to these kids when they're at home with their parents. No one has oversight over this. That's an alarm. That's an alarm. And then I've heard, I was interesting. There was a quote. When Joe Biden was president, and he said, "There's no such thing as someone else's child." He repeated it and continued, "Our nation's children are all our children." And Kamala said something similar when she had like a word salad.
When we talk about our children, I know for this group, we all believe that when we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Yeah. When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community. There's this underlying belief that your children aren't yours. They're everyone's children. So because they have to interact with everyone in the world should have a piece of ownership of them. And that's not true. That's not the case. That's an ideological difference that's a non-starter. They're your children. I think that was a very interesting point that was made with Pierce versus the Society of Sisters back from 1925 when they were talking about private education, is that the child is not a mere creature of the state. That statement's critical. That statement is critical. That the children are not a mere creature of the state. No, they are not creatures of the community. Look, public education options are a privilege, not a right. They're a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to find community in education. But the children are yours. You're the parent. And both the weight of that and the potential successes of that are yours to bear. And the potential failures of that are yours to bear. You are the parent. And it's great whenever we can offer our children every option available. And sometimes that just spoils them. And it doesn't feel great when we can't offer them so many options. And sometimes not being able to offer that to them crushes their confidence and makes them feel insecure. Like both things have negative outcomes, potentially. There's no guarantee that because we have a scholarship or we have throw money at this problem or we have a public school waiting in the queue or that we can send them to a private school, that there is just 100% success rate because of those things. I mean, look at the situation that we're in right now. Public school has been the default mindset for the last 100 years. Private school has been an option, and homeschooling has been an option, and there isn't any specific one that has had 100% success rate. Period. There is no path that gives you a 100% guaranteed success rate. There will be failures in every path. But I think that when you look at personal responsibility, personal accountability, I can't control everything that happens in the world. Man, my social media is full of that. Reminders that I don't have any control over anything but myself. So when I seek to control just what's within my area of influence, or I seek to impact and influence what's just within my area of influence, I can actually have a better result. I can actually have a good result. And the further that I try to reach outside of that, my influence wanes. I have a lack of influence. It gets harder to impact something. It's very important. It's very important that we as parents, especially home education parents, realize the importance of keeping that line alive, keeping the balance of that ideology at the forefront of every decision that we make. I think that it's wonderful. Brenda, thank you. And I think that it's wonderful that we have Statute 1006.15, the Craig Dickinson Act, where we can take our kids and we can participate in public school athletic competitions. What an awesome opportunity that is. What a great right. It's protected and spelled out in statute for us to be able to participate in that. But the mindset that if we couldn't do it that way, there's never another option available, that's not true. That's not true. We'd have to build it ourselves. Is that hard? Yes, it's hard. It's hard work. It's time. It's sacrifice. It's effort. It's money. Right there in that same statute is the ability for homeschool groups to create their own football teams if they want to and go compete against high schools. That's been an option too. That's an option. We historically haven't really done that. That's on us. That's on us. We lean on the public system so hard. But what we don't realize is that the further that we demand that the public system take care of us, the more we have to abdicate to be a part of it. And that That's a critical line. It's a critical line. We talked about this a little bit last week. There was a parent who reached out to us and saying, hey, we need to get academic classes added to the Craig Dickinson Act so that schools will have to teach our kids a class if we want them to. We'll be able to show up and demand that they teach our kid a class. And I have to say, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. You have every option in the world available to you to go where you want, teach them how you want to teach them, pour into them. And if you make demands of the public school to take over the education of your child, that's just send them to public school. Like, be a part of the public school system. It already has all of the control, and it is mandatory for them to teach you if you enroll your student there. That's already accessible to you. But whenever you decide to home educate, and I feel like I'm preaching, and maybe I shouldn't be, but when you decide to home educate, you're taking on the personal responsibility to be personally accountable for the education of your child, to set standards that others might not agree with, to set standards that are important to your family, to set standards that I was listening to. I got another article. That was popped up that was talking about a bill in New Jersey, and that this bill introduced requirements, and I've got it up on the screen. Introduced requirements that a home education program and a child's parent or guardian meet annually with a person from the resident school district who has been designated by the school district superintendent. They would have to meet regularly to oversee the home education that you're giving your child. No, thank you. No, thank you. This was, it took me a long time to find it, but this was New Jersey Bill A 5796. And it was introduced over the summer. The co-sponsors, Cody Miller and Sterling Stanley, are registered Democrat sponsors. And I will tell you that home education does not live on a party line. It does not live on a party line. When Brenda first got home education in Florida off the ground and onto the books, it was through a Democrat-controlled legislature. Thank you, God, for that. That's amazing. This doesn't live on a party line. It lives on an ideological line. When someone looks at children as the property of the community or the responsibility of the community. I know that there's that famous quote, it takes a village to raise a child. And I know it's a very popular quote. But the child is the responsibility of the parent that they were born to. If everything tomorrow that we know about society falls apart, if all the infrastructure, nonprofits are suddenly unrecognized by the government and every one of them across the board defunded and public schools implode and there's none of this infrastructure, and I can't imagine a catastrophe, and I don't want to speak it into existence, that might make it so. But if you snapped your fingers and you lived in a different environment where none of that was the case, and there are other countries where that's the situation, the children that are born to you are your responsibility. To help them carve out survival in the world, to help them find their way, to help them learn how to be formidable, to help teach them how to defend themselves with words and physically, if necessary, to survive. That's the duty of every parent. That should be the focus of education. Articulate, formidable, defensible, resilient. And it's hard. It is hard to do it alone. It is very hard to do it alone. In fact, one of the things that's really bad about society is when you're trudging along alone and you hit obstacles in life and there's no one there to help you. The obstacles are so much bigger and so much harder to overcome than when we band together. And that's a fact of life. That's just true. That's just true. Vicky says, I pick my village to be my community and support. Yeah. Not someone else assigned. I'm going to fill in and say, not someone else assigned to me. Yeah, I think that's, I added words to your comment there, but I think your comment is like dead on point. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think she was saying she picks the village. Someone else doesn't pick it for her.
Right. Yeah. I
We
read that in
do
it.
that with support groups. We do that with the activities that our children are involved with. We pick those groups. I agree with Vicki.
Yes, absolutely. There's a little delay between you and me, so I didn't want to cut you off. Was there more to that? Okay.
No.
Okay. I belabor this a lot because there is a organization and its popularity is growing. It was kind of fringe a couple of years back, and I can see there's specific verbiage that's in these bills and specific verbiage that's in the bills that were voted on in Illinois over this past session. And there are ideas that sound good. And I have to tell you, their marketing is on point. The way that they write their articles and they put their marketing together, they blend articles about how to do diploma for your homeschool student properly, and how to do this and how to do that. They've got, so they're triggering all of the marketing words that are important for an algorithm to see you and grab information if somebody is searching for information on this or on that. And then they add this little line: there may be times when homeschooling parents either neglect or refuse to create a high school diploma for a homeschooled student who has completed the required work and is ready to graduate. Oh, really? So in your diploma help article, you saw it fit to add neglect in there as a subject matter and attach that to the concept that if you don't apply a high school diploma to your student, you're somehow neglecting them. Florida law doesn't even allow you as a parent to have a legally recognizable diploma, home education. You sign an affidavit of completion of your home education program. Technically, it's not a diploma. And I have watched school districts create fear for parents and tell them, oh, well, if you do this or if you do that, you won't be able to give your student a diploma. No, but the affidavit is recognized the same as a diploma is recognized when it comes to college entrance and things like that. You can move your child right on along. There are certain things that are spelled out in statute, carved out rights and protections. And the marketing of organizations like this, and then blending a how-to article on how to give your child a diploma with, let's introduce the concept of neglect. You're neglecting your child if they don't have one. Some parents choose to do that. This is nonsense. This is very insipid, very insidious. And that article links to another series of testimonies of students who are in my age bracket. So they were homeschooled at the time I was homeschooled. But they didn't get a diploma. And they talk about the woes and the woes of not getting a diploma. And then this one person here says, and I'm intentionally not putting these on the screen, by the way, just so that you know. This person here says, I never had trouble getting work, but I never worked at a place that they would require to actually see a diploma. I'm like, imagine that. Isn't that mind-boggling? That what we're going to talk about as neglect and say you're a poor parent if you don't give your kid one, your kid doesn't struggle if they don't have it. What a mind-boggling concept.
Yeah, well, if I can just add to that.
Please.
I was even told, once I made it to college, no one cared about what I did in high school anymore. Like,
dun, dun.
they ask for your college credentials. I was instructed not to put anything about high school on my resume or show GPA from high school or like it doesn't exist anymore once you move past it. And in Florida, that affidavit is absolutely legally recognized for college admission if you want your kid to go to college. So there is no reason to create fear about whether or not you have a diploma, because it literally does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think of a situation where it would really matter.
I love that you said create fear, because all the statutes and the laws in each different state are different and unique. But if you can create enough fear about a nebulous topic that everybody thinks they should have the right to, or everybody thinks should be normal, and wow, it's neglect if you don't have a diploma. Wow. And let's create fear about that, and let's just stir people up, but without any concern for the fact that a diploma is a very specific thing. It's a very specific thing. And who's going to give you the diploma? And then if you get one, is it accredited? And accredited by who? And now I've already even seen that playing out in the homeschool community, where parents, I saw, what was it, Crystal, that you saw in the group?
Yeah, so I kind of lurk in a bunch of Facebook groups related to home education and scholarships in Florida and all those kinds of things. And there was a discussion happening in one group about, initially it started as someone asking why digital devices aren't covered under PEP, mm-hmm. which is a very common question, has been mm-hmm. the whole time. But someone jumped in on the comments on that to say, I don't even know how parents have any money left to buy anything like TVs or any of that stuff, because I am having to come out of pocket beyond the $8,000 that my child receives for scholarship because, and then she listed what she was spending it on. And it was three major things. One was her curriculum, which was about $700 of that. Mm-hmm. The other one was hybrid classes at a private school, which was several thousand of that. Yeah. And then she was spending several thousand more per year on what she said was accreditation for her curriculum. That confused me. So I kind of scrolled further down through the comments where she mentioned the name of the organization that she does that through. And I looked into them, and essentially they are marketing themselves as an accreditation organization that will look at whatever curriculum you've already purchased for your kids and then put their private school stamp of accreditation approval on your curriculum so that you can say your homeschooling program is accredited.
That's right.
And they are charging thousands of dollars a year for this. Mm-hmm. And it also comes with some typical services you would usually see from an umbrella school. Like they track grades for you and they make records for you and all of that. But it just kind of baffled me that someone who chose home education would then feel the need to seek some private school organization to accredit what she's doing in her home. Like the two mindsets don't mesh in a logical way for me. It was really just kind of baffling me. And I feel bad for this parent. They had comments disabled on the post, or I probably would have engaged, but I feel like this parent was probably sold through some sort of fear tactic, the belief that she needs that. And so she's spending, I think she said $3,800 per year, which is half of her child's scholarship on that accreditation.
Yeah.
And then she has no funds left for anything else beyond the hybrid classes, the curriculum, and that.
Right. So the question is, what is accreditation? It's an external process or an independent third party, right, that has some sort of established reputation, a sense of competence or reliability that if you came through this program and this program gave the stamp of approval on your piece of paper, then somehow you now have translated to you the reputation and credibility of that organization.
Yeah, and their marketing materials for this particular organization, even talked about how respected they were among state universities. So just seeing their stamp of approval on your child's transcripts would somehow improve your child's odds of getting into a school.
It must be neglect if you're a parent and you don't get one of those very expensive accreditations, because you obviously don't love your children enough if you're going to let them walk out into the world without an accreditation to stand behind. I mean, what are they going to go apply for a job and have to get by on merit or skill or prove that they can do a job? They should just be able to walk in and hold up a badge that says I'm approved and accredited and just be handed a job somewhere. This work for it stuff, that's too hard. No one should have to do that. And you're neglecting your children if you leave them in a situation where they have to get by on their own work ethic or the merit of their own hands. Like, that's just terrible parenting. Really? Really? We're forking over money. We're being tapped. We're being tapped. We're being fed fear. We're being tapped and sold. Here, feel this fear. Here, feel this fear. Don't worry about that fear. I'm going to sell you something that's going to take it away. Don't you worry about that. And it's going to be good. You know what? It's so good. It's so good. It's the greatest. It's so good. It'll cost you, and you won't have to worry about it because, man, it's going to be that good. Like,
I think we're getting so many people coming into home education with a public school or private school mindset. And they bring that into home education without knowing the home education law and the freedoms and the rights that have been built for them as independent, free parents to teach their children at home. So they open themselves up to these groups or businesses that prey on them.
I agree with every word that you said. I was talking with Crystal about that earlier, and I was like, though, it's not a public school, private school thing, and I'm afraid that if people hear us talk about the public school mindset or the private school mindset, that they'll feel like we're saying, this is our sandbox. Don't come play in our sandbox. This is the homeschool sandbox. And that's not at all. I know that's not what you mean, Brenda. And that's not at all what I mean. And I think that we have to be careful. I remember when PEP first came out and they were saying, well, you're not real homeschoolers if you take the money. It's like, that's not necessarily true. Home education is a mindset, though. And the ideology that drives behind the home education mindset is they're our children. We'll take it from here. Thanks.
But in home education, people that are coming in today, there's a huge track record of parents who have gone before them for the last 40 years. So all I'm saying is not that I'm throwing off on public or private school.
I know that.
There's just different sets of laws that apply to each one of the sandboxes.
Yes.
And it's okay if you come into our sandbox, but understand the freedoms that you have in this box.
Well, and that's what...
Wait. Hold on. I got to trigger the crowd cheering. The crowd has to cheer for a second. Yes. Brenda said it. Come into our sandbox. This is an amazing sandbox. We want you here. We love your attendance in this sandbox. Let's not convert this one into one of the others, though.
Yeah, that's, I think, when you and I were talking this morning, that's the point of frustration for me, is that I'm watching it. I'm watching the people who could embrace the new people and kind of urge them toward embracing their freedoms, instead pull inward and isolate away from the newcomers. And then I'm watching the newcomers just be confused. And my concern is that as more and more new home education parents, new PEP parents come in who don't understand their rights and freedoms, the voice of those who do is going to get drowned out by the people who are happy to have a list of only 10 curriculum to choose from and happy to have help from the government to regulate things, because why not? Like, they're used to that.
Because it's so hard as a parent by myself. How am I going to launch a program or do this or do that?
Or they just don't question it because it's normal to them.
Ooh, that's even worse.
And so
that's where they come from.
Yes, it's
their mindset.
And so I think it's our responsibility as those who are, I'm trying to think the right way to say it, because I don't mean like the true homeschoolers. It's hard to say it a different way. But those of us who are fighting to protect the freedom that home education is intended to provide, right? Yeah. Those of us who are in there for the freedoms, I think it's important that we kind of mentor the newcomers to embrace freedoms.
I've said it before on our podcast, and Tracy has echoed it in our comments today. One of the many problems is that, she says this, one of the many problems is that many, especially in this generation, have abdicated the responsibility as authority figures and have abdicated their own families over. And I think that it's not a public school or private school or a homeschool mindset. It's an abdication mindset, right? Absolutely. It's an abdication because you can be involved in a public school environment and be a very staunch, I'm still the parent. These are still my children. And you're a steward of taxpayer dollars that operates at the behest and the direction of the legislature for me, the parent, to help with my child. So you can still be a non-abdicating parent involved in that system, and the same as private school. You can be a parent who doesn't abdicate, and you're deeply involved. Yeah, and you show up and you participate.
The end of Tracy's comment, I think, is also important. She says people are fearful they can't do it themselves because that's what they've been taught. Yeah. And that fear is what I am seeing continuously. I didn't get the chance to engage with the mom who was paying for the accreditation, but if I had to guess, it was fear that drove that decision for her. Fear that her kid would miss out on opportunities if she didn't. And so the fear is the selling point for all of this. It's the selling point for the policies. It's the selling point for these organizations that, in my view, are predatory, coming in on families and like using fear to sell them things they don't need by convincing them they need it. And I think I was just going to say, I think, like I said before, it's our job as those who are familiar with the rights and freedoms to calm those parents and reassure them and let them know, like, you can do this. It's not as scary as it seems. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. You don't need all this extra stuff. Like having parents who have been doing this for years saying that to you is very reassuring and can help assuage that fear. But I don't think that those conversations are happening as often as the fear generating conversations are happening.
Yeah, it's this, there is another issue is it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. Just like if you wanted to be Mr. Olympia or something, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, a lot of eating very specific diets and being in the gym a whole lot. It's going to take over your life to reach that level of greatness in a specific achievement area, or someone who realizes that they're way overweight and the doctor tells them that they have to get into shape. It's going to take time, effort, and sacrifice. There are a lot of things about your life that change to wrap around whatever that goal is that you have of changing. And if your goal is to provide your child with an education customized to them, where they're free to be a thinker for themselves, to be critically thinking, there are going to be differences, and there are going to be some things that, just fall off. They're not a part of what you can do. I can't tell my kid they can be involved in every single thing. I saw a study the other day, and I can't find it, so I I wish I could pull it up on the screen, but I saw an article was talking about how they measured all of these public school students and their after-school programs, and they found that when students are involved in too many after-school programs, it's detrimental to them. And they were kind of talking about the different ways in which that was the case. But we've got it in our heads somehow that we've got to have them plugged into everything and be stamped of approval by everyone. And it's just not so. We got to teach them how to think for themselves, walk out into the world, have an idea, build coalitions and relationships and teams and coordinate with other people and have a work ethic and get it done. Like, it's not, and then point that person in the direction of whatever industry or path or thing they want to be about.
Yeah, I think
as a niche.
This is going to take a slight philosophical angle just for a second, but I think it's important to recognize that every choice you make for what you include is a choice not to include something else.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of life. Yeah. So if you are in that fear of missing out mindset and you are putting your kid in every single thing, recognize that by the very nature of reality, that means you are cutting something else out, whether that's family time or downtime, introspection time. There's something you're cutting it in trade for those things. There's a book called 4,000 Weeks that I read a while back. And the whole premise of the book is that is the average person. That's how many weeks you get in your life, 4,000 weeks. And that is really not a lot of time. So everything that you're choosing to include is an intentional exclusion, whether you realize it or not, of every other thing you could have chosen to spend your time on.
Yeah.
And so I think with home education, that becomes even more important because you are free. Like you start with an empty schedule and then you choose what to fill it with. And so I know for us, we've intentionally the last couple of years pared back on scheduled commitments so that we could have more flexibility and more intentional time as a family to do other things. And that's been a really good thing for our family. But I think a lot of people have a fear of missing out on opportunities for their kids. And like, it's just become the accepted norm in our society that your kid has to be in all these scheduled activities. I can't even list the number of families I know who it seems like every single moment that their kids aren't in school, their kids are scheduled up until bedtime doing other things. Yeah. And I wonder, like you said, too many things has been shown to be detrimental, but I also wonder, like, is the benefit of that outweighing the cost of, downtime and family time and all those other things? Like, is that being evaluated in the decisions that are made? So,
yeah, I think it's really important to take a deep breath and kind of step back and to be very careful and cautious about drawing lines amongst ourselves where they don't need to be drawn. I think that it's challenging when we take such a complex concept and we limit it to like, well, public school this way and public school that way, and because there are ways in which homeschool parents also abdicate. And one of the things that I have watched happen as the scholarship kind of rolls in is the fear that parents have. They're trying to out-purchase the fear. They're trying to spend that money in ways that make them less afraid. And not necessarily in a very specific, here's the vision for my child's education, here's the path they're on, here's where they're going to be, and I'm buying the things that are on this path to that outcome. And it's a lot of it is curriculum or programs or mini schools or whatever you call them that are preying on the parents' fears that they can't do it alone, that they can't. Where are the programs if we're not able to participate in public school sports? Or where are the programs if where is the STEM class if I can't get it there, or if I don't have this, or if I don't have that? Where is it? You're the parent. And the child is your child. And you can do it. Period. You can. You can. And people have fought and spent their lives in service of being a voice of parents in the Capitol, so that you may throw yourself at that if you so choose. You don't have to. You can always go back to public school. It's there as an option. Just enroll in it and then show up as an involved parent. But when you become a home education parent, you dare. You're a hardy, daring crew to step out and to take the helm. And if your ship is empty, invite others to be community and to be on your ship. And hey, grab that rigging and pull that sail over there. And as you grow and your community around you grows, do it together. But that initial decision to be a home education parent is daring and bold. You are looking at the last 100 years of public education initiatives, and you're saying, I can do better. And you can. You can, because you are the parent. The child is yours. You know them every day, day in, day out. You have time with them, and those precious moments and memories are yours to be had. It's beautiful, and it's bold, and it requires patience and strength and endurance. Don't kid yourself. So get ready for it. Embrace the fear a little bit and lean into it. But don't let it shake you off your path, and don't try to purchase your way out of it too quickly. Sit and be judicious and be shrewd and be calculated in what it is that you want for your child, and to go after that very succinctly and very directly, and shop around. They're spending money. They are spending money. If you're seeing them on social media and they're advertising to you, they're spending money to get you.
Or you see them at a convention with a booth. They spent money to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have weighed the risks and the costs, and they think that if you'll spend enough money with them, it's worth it in the end for them to do it. You are in the seat of decision. You get to decide what you do with your child and what you do with your money. That is up to you. Take your time. Take your time. Enjoy the journey, and take your time deciding on what curriculum or what program or what mini school, micro school, private school, public school, whatever your options are. Take your time on deciding.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, there is no guarantee with any path of a certain outcome or a 100% success rate.
That's correct.
So the fear is sort of an illusion, or the belief that you can make the fear go away by choosing the silver bullet, the right path, there are failures in education in every path. And so I think the core comes down to just remembering that you are the parent, and it is your responsibility and right to be the one making the decisions for your child, which is why the organizations that are pushing for oversight and regulation are so alarming, because they come in with very well-meaning statements, but they're eroding that belief in the reality of the parent being the one who makes the decisions, right? Mm-hmm. Our kids do not belong to the government. They belong to the parents.
It goes back to the article at the beginning. The teacher is out of field. The teacher is teaching out of field, but hey, at least we're thankful we have teachers. Because where would we be if we didn't have that system to rely on? You don't need a system. You're enough. You're enough. Take your kids outside, teach them to touch grass. Teach them to put video games down and learn how to think critically. Teach them how to argue. Teach them how to do math. Teach them how to roll dice and play games with each other and team build and socialize and rub elbows and get bloody noses and fall down and get up and all that stuff. all the important stuff in life.
Teach them how to research and find information. Like that's, if you teach them that, they can educate themselves on anything they choose that they have an interest in.
I don't remember differential equations, and I don't remember a lot about chemistry either, but the most important lesson I've had to learn over and over and over again in life is how to start over. Every time something doesn't work, how to start over. Every time a project fails, how to start over. I mean, school is that. If it's an education and you're worried about education, teach them those things, the things that they're going to come in contact with the most in life. Life is a contact sport. They've got to be able to go through that. One last thing I want to say, because I think it's we've been talking about logic and rational thinking and stuff with the kids and stuff a lot lately, and public schools are schools, right? Definitionally speaking, all public schools are schools. That's logic. But not all schools are public schools. That's logic. So you can see how that maps out, because then you go, okay, great. Well, all private schools are schools, but not all schools are private schools. And that's great. The challenge is when you come to homeschooling, because homeschools aren't schools at all. So the logic literally falls apart because it's not. And we don't want to make homeschooling look like school at all, ever. It's home education. It's education, free and clear, where you set the standards, you choose the curriculum, you set the goals, you chart the course, you teach it, you go back, you double back, you review it, you move on to the next subject. You skip some because they're doing so well that they got it without much effort, and you move on to other things. Like, you can adapt on the fly. It looks nothing like school. And I think that's the real key issue in a lot of ways with the logical breakdown, is that we're all so focused on public school this, and they're not going to be able to that, and blah, 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 and private school and homeschoolers. And it's like we get lost in all the minutia of those things, and we forget the very simple, basic reality. They're your kids, not the community's kids, not the school's kids, not the district's kids. They're not the state's kids. They're yours.
I need to go. I have another
Go, Brenda.
call.
Go, Brenda. I love you. I was going to give you last word. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
I just would say, parents, enjoy the journey. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't be afraid. You can do it. Just follow the child's lead and give them what they want, what they ask for. But enjoy the journey.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. I'll close this out. You can go ahead and go. I appreciate you being with us today.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're overwhelmed, if you've got questions, or you feel like you need community and support, I'm going to sell you something. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to offer you something for free. We have a Discord server. The Discord, you can get to it right from our website, flhef.org/Discord. I think the link is also in the description of our podcasts when we put them up, so you can access the link there as well. This Discord server is it's a community. We've got 400 plus family. Every time I look at it, the number of people that's in there keeps going up. This is for Florida parents who are interested in home education, or just interested in the education of their own children in their own way. They need community and support. It's there. It's free. There is a channel for every county in the state of Florida. When there are issues that arise, like there are some, we've seen them in Clay, Duval, Leon, Palm Beach, you name it. There's a lot. There's a lot of them there, and there's a lot of great support. We even have a debate club in there for young people with a reading list that's in there. The reading list is not a list that we have curated. This is a reading list where the invitation is out to all young people to put in books on logic, reasoning, rhetoric, debate, policy, different things like that they have found interesting and helpful. and to kind of put why. And so that reading list is there for them to be a part of. That's why right now it's empty, because I really haven't had an uptake on anyone getting in there and just kind of taking charge and saying, hey, I'm a young person and I would like to be more involved and be a part. Like, there it is. It's waiting for you. Let's go. We'll provide you with support, and you can help pull something together, and we're here for you. The Discord is there. It's a server. It's a server service. It is a server and a service that the HEF Connect nonprofit puts together to help parents, especially when it comes to advocacy or issues. If you're tired of Facebook groups that are 82,000, 20,000, 8,000 people strong, and they're all from all over different states and a mix, like just all over the place, go there, and it's just Florida parents. We talk about Florida issues. We're especially concerned about new parents who are interested in knowing their rights and feeling confident in their choice. They want to know. They're trepidatious. They're not necessarily certain. We want you to be confident, and we think that confidence comes from two things: knowledge and friends. So we'll provide you information about what the statutes say and help you know for yourself. And then there's a lot of people in there that can be friendly community for you to throw ideas around with and talk to. That's critical. So we do have issues that we're watching. I think October 6th is coming up, and that is when the first bout of session starts. That'd be next week, actually. Oh, that means that's Monday. I'm going to have to check my schedule. We may end up having to move our HEF podcast to another time. I don't want to do that, but we'll see, and we'll let you know. But there things are starting to move, and ideas will be starting to be thrown around and talked about, and we have calls that we have to jump on like immediately right after this one, so I'll be going. But thank you for your participation. Thank you to parents who showed up to support. Sadly, I've watched as a number of parents have canceled their support, whether it's just credit cards time out or whatever it is. It happens. It's life. It's real. It's just attrition's a part of it. If you know someone who benefits from their home education rights and they're enjoying them, or they just believe in the importance of the freedom that we have and fight for to secure and to keep alive, please let them know we're here, and let them know we still need the support. That it's really only made possible by the support of those who come in behind us, like the parents for the free state of Florida. Thank you to Arete, FPEA, and Fisher Precious Metals for being our top sponsors. We do have slots open for other top sponsors. If you know someone who has a business and they just want to be able to give back somehow, we're here. Let them know, and we can put that conversation together, and we can handle it from there. But also want to give a special thank you as the music rolls to a friend of ours in the home education community that wrote us a unique piece of music for our intro and our outro. And I don't know about you, but it's serious, it's patriotic, it's moving, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for people like him who donate their time and their talents, and I'm thankful for all of the home education families across the state of Florida that donate their time and talents and invest them into their kids. And the ones who sponsor us financially, we're very thankful for you. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you.